Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a wild story. We're looking at how one company is using a totally counterintuitive strategy to win what is, quite literally, the biggest tech race in human history. We're talking about DeepSeek and their roadmap to artificial general intelligence, or AGI. In an industry that is completely defined by multi-billion-dollar spending sprees and hyper-secretive closed doors, DeepSeek is playing a completely different and honestly kind of shocking game.
To really get their playbook, we have to look at the philosophy of DeepSeek CEO Mr. Liang. He firmly believes that because AI might eventually account for a staggering 10% of global GDP, anyone trying to greedily monopolize it, well, they're going to face insurmountable resistance. It's this core idea that AI is just way too big for any single entity to own. Trying to keep the whole pie for yourself isn't just selfish. Mr. Liang argues it's a strategic dead end. History will simply leave you behind.
So here is our roadmap for today. We'll hit 1, a vision of restraint, 2, the open source strategy, 3, engineering for efficiency, 4, the staircase to AGI, and finally 5, overcoming the next bottleneck.
Let's start with Section 1, a vision of restraint.
Let's think about that massive market again. DeepSeek CEO Mr. Liang points out that when you're dealing with 10% of all global economic output, sharing the value isn't charity. Actually, it's a survival mechanism. If you try to squeeze every last drop of profit from a technology that the whole world relies on, the world is absolutely going to push back. So, by deliberately not monopolizing, DeepSeek makes sure they can operate without making enemies out of the entire global ecosystem.
And that brings us to this crucial concept of restraint. In Chinese, the word is 克制. For DeepSeek, restraint literally means intentionally capping their own short-term commercial gains. Why would they do that? Well, it keeps their team 100% focused on technical breakthroughs, instead of getting distracted chasing every immediate commercial app or advertising dollar. They are keeping their eyes locked right on the ultimate prize, which is building AGI.
Moving on to Section 2, the open source strategy. This philosophy of restraint directly drives their incredibly disruptive approach to the market. It's a brilliant contrast to traditional Silicon Valley strategies, right? While a closed-source monopoly is all about maximizing market share and jacking up prices, DeepSeek goes the open-source route. They literally release their powerful models for free and cap their own profits at what they call a reasonable level. This builds massive goodwill, aligns them with global developers, and basically neutralizes the threat of competitors undercutting them. I mean, how do you undercut someone who is actively choosing to make less money? You just can't.
So what does a reasonable profit actually mean to them? Get this. DeepSeek prices their API so that they achieve hardware payback in exactly 10 months. That's it. Once the servers pay for themselves in under a year, they consider the profit margin totally sufficient. It's an unbelievably lean pricing model that makes their open source strategy sustainable for them, but a total nightmare for legacy competitors who have massive bloated overheads.
Let's look at Section 3, engineering for efficiency.
To pull off that 10-month payback while keeping prices dirt cheap, they couldn't just do what everyone else was doing. They had to completely reinvent how AI models are built under extreme resource constraints. Operating with way fewer GPUs than their global competitors, they deployed some brilliant architectural innovations. They created MLA, which massively compresses the AI's short-term memory, boosting inference speed by up to 50%. Then there's MTP, to predict multiple words at once for even more speed. And honestly, this is incredible. They used PRBGPO. That's a pure reinforcement learning algorithm that actually forces the AI to develop deep reasoning skills all on its own, completely bypassing the need for expensive, human-labeled training data.
To really wrap your head around this efficiency, just look at their mixture of experts, or MOE architecture. The model has a whopping 671 billion parameters in total, giving it massive depth of knowledge. But here's the genius part. It only activates about 37 billion parameters for any given query. It's like having a giant library but only pulling out the exact 3 books you need. This lets them hit world-class performance while saving absolutely unbelievable amounts of compute and electricity. And because they're working with constrained resources, they're dodging hardware limits by writing custom high-level compilers. This means they can completely bypass the dominant legacy software ecosystems like NVIDIA's CUDA platform and still extract maximum performance from alternative domestic chips like those from Huawei. They're essentially proving, right here, that you do not need a limitless budget and a monopoly on premium hardware to build cutting-edge AI. You just need ridiculously smart engineering.
Now for Section 4, the staircase to AGI.
Let's look at how this hyper-efficient engine builds their roadmap to the ultimate goal. DeepSeek CEO Mr. Liang views the path to AGI like a literal staircase. We started at the bottom step with basic language models. Recently, we climbed up through COT, chain of thought, and reasoning, where models learn to basically think before they speak. Right now, the industry is standing firmly on the agent step, where AI can actively use tools to complete tasks. But to reach true AGI, we still have a few critical stairs left to climb.
Which brings us to Section 5, overcoming the next bottleneck.
Standing on that agent step is awesome, but there is an immediate, massive hurdle in the way of the whole industry right now. The next huge breakthrough we need is continual learning. See, right now, if you give an AI a task, it only remembers what's in its immediate context window. Continual learning means the AI could join a company, learn the ropes over a few months, understand all the office dynamics, and seamlessly remember its ongoing projects day after day, week after week, exactly like you or I would.
Mr. Liang makes a really profound point here. He notes that once an AI can maintain context and learn continuously, just like a human employee, the landscape of work fundamentally changes forever. Think about it. If an AI can spend 2 months onboarding and actually retain that knowledge organically without being constantly reprogrammed from scratch, it crosses this massive threshold from being just a highly advanced tool into becoming a genuine digital worker.
And here is where things get truly wild. Once the AI can learn continuously, it hits a critical tipping point on that staircase, Recursive Self-Improvement, RSI. At this stage, the model itself starts researching, coding, and building its own next, smarter generation. Humans won't be the primary engineers of AI progress anymore. The AI will literally take over its own evolution. This is the springboard to what a lot of people consider the technological singularity.
Which leaves us with a fascinating question to ponder. We are watching two totally different ideologies battle it out for the future of human intelligence. In the race to unlock recursive self-improvement, RSI, and achieve true AGI, is extreme financial ambition and secrecy really the key? Or will a philosophy of open-source restraint, ultra-lean engineering, and radical transparency actually prove to be the ultimate secret weapon? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'd love to know what you think.